Hello, this is Cuckoo. Hello, this is also Cuckoo from a different angle. And as you can see, this camera here is showing something very neat, whereas this camera is showing something terribly messy. I'm going to show you in a bit. So, I want to show you today how I set this up in order to perform a gig. I'm performing this on Sunday. It's a festival called Synth Sounds Festival, and it's actually pre-recorded, so it was screening on Sunday. If you're watching in the future, it has already happened. Sorry. So when I set up this a little gig setup, I was thinking about what to play, what to perform, and came to realize that all my songs, they live on different hardware. It's the way I work. I make music specifically to a hardware, and then it lives there. And it's very difficult to transfer that song onto another hardware. I could do it, but it means I have to rearrange and remake it. So what I wanted to do for this gig was to perform songs that I created and make it all in one set, and hopefully bring it all together. Because sometimes if you're playing like the Digitone, that could sound widely different from something you perform on the Octatrack, and you'll hear that it actually does. But with a little touch and care, I think you can mold it all together to sound as if it was meant to happen in the same world. So let me go through my setup here. Dual OPZ setup. This is the songs coming from my this is I'm Not a DJ set, and this is the Octatrack with songs from my album called Not Pop, which is a free album, royalty-free music. And this is from my latest set that I made on the Digitone, from a set that has no name. I call it like Almost a Game Soundtrack. Yeah, that's the name from now on. Almost a Game Soundtrack. And these are some effects for my vocals. And I press this here, and we got reverb. I think I need to take my headphones on. Reverb and a tad of delay, but no reverb now. Yeah. So, and underneath here, under the grand mirror that is actually in, it's a sort of plastic mirror used in for installations and stuff. It doesn't break. But underneath is an RME Fireface UCX, very good audio interface, and also it has a full-blown mixer that you can control through an iPad or a computer. Yeah, so the computer is over there running the mixer software, just mirroring it. But as soon as the mixer is set and everything is working, I can unplug the computer. It doesn't need to be there. Let me show you how I connected it all and how I planned it all. And some of the solutions here are a little bit on the wonky side because I was running out of ports. This has 8 inputs, and at some point I figured out that, I actually would need a 10 inputs to do exactly what I'm doing. So I ended up using the inputs on the Electron Digitone for the reverb. Right, so the first things first, all of what you see here is going into the audio interface in some way or another. But underneath, there is stuff going on too. But what we see here is just OPZ number 1, OPZ number 2. This is connected through the OpLab MIDI module. Module, so MIDI out going into MIDI in on this one. And this is a slave to this. So this is doing all of the, let's see. Different. If I change the pattern here, this will follow, and all of the pattern changes on this one will just be sent over here, and this will instantly follow, same tempo, same pattern. So this is like my secondary unit that has only the piano. Yeah, so this is the secondary unit with some additional piano sounds. So some people might be asking why I'm not connecting it over USB. And for me, I made some early tests. Maybe they fixed it by now, but I feel like there is a small amount of USB noise that gets transferred when you connect them over USB. You can shut off charging in the software, but I still felt like I felt it felt better to do it over the MIDI cable. I couldn't hear any noise getting transferred that way. So that's why I'm using the OpLab module. And this one is going into, oops, first one is going into the inputs here. The second one is going into, actually, I had to sacrifice one voice, so it's going into mono into this one because I didn't have enough number of inputs. But in the software, if you come over here to the computer, we can see that the input of the piano, this one, could you hear that? It's actually a tad of stereo. And that's because I'm sending to the reverb and echo engine on the Fireface, and they're very smooth and good sound of reverbs and echo, and just a tad of that to bring back the stereo that I lost because I went mono because I didn't have enough inputs. You can hear that tail there. In a beautiful subtle stereo. You can also see the input here that I'm using on the mic, and I'm using a quite heavily compressed signal. It's because electronic music, the stuff that I do, it's very often very on and off kind of sounds, and sure I could do it more dynamic, but this sound, it requires a very controlled volume of my voice. At least that's what I've come to feel. So I heavily compressed it like so, and also expanded away the noise when I'm silent. If I turn off the dynamics here, it would sound like this. First of all, it's low input now, but yeah. And with the dynamics on, it sounds like this. Also, I've applied a little EQ on the microphone here. You can see some cutting some bass to avoid rumbling, and also just a tad of a little dip there on these kind of frequencies that sometimes don't sound very nice. And as I can see, just a tad of a little lift here on the higher frequencies for the vocals. And also, if we take a look further down here on this audio interface, you can make several submixes. So main mix is going out on channel 7 and 8. That would be what I hear in my headphones. So this is the headphones mix. Whereas this mix, this one, which is channel 3 and 4, is going out to the camera. And the camera is the one that is actually recording all of the audio. I'm recording it in stereo and not as a multi-track. I just wanted to have very authentic and one take, and this is it. And if you mess up, you're screwed, basically. It keeps me on the edge, and also I like to do it that way, in a way. Like, make good preparations, don't fix a lot of stuff in post, but this is what it is. This is it. Let's go. It's concert. So it's a one take that I recorded, and it went well, but I made some mistakes. I'm going to explain what kind of mistakes right now. I made this mistake. I let the main vocal, the main mix, go both to the headset and to the camera. This is the thing. When recording a gig for yourself and you have headphones to listen to yourself, if there is a microphone involved, or if you are playing solo, you want that solo sound or your microphone to be louder and everything else, so you can play better and hear yourself better. But that is not the mix you want to record or want to project out to the audience. So what I did here was a typical noob mistake. I know these things, but I still made it because I made some tests and I felt like, yeah, I'm probably fine. It's just gonna record this. So what I did now was to, instead of recording the main mix, which is going to my headphones, I'm making a separate mix just going out to the camera. And if you take a look up here, you can spot the only difference between the mixes. It's full audio level on the vocals. And now if we go to this one, it's dropped down a little bit. So I've tested out where the sweet spot for how much I want the vocals to sound in my ears, in my headphones, like my listening experience. And I come to kind of a rule of thumb is, in my ears, I want the microphone to be 3 decibels louder than what typically sounds good in a mix. So knowing that, I am now kind of applying that as my sort of preset behavior every time I'm recording to a stereo file. So a separate mix, record that with a much more listenable experience. Yeah, what about the main OPZ? We can see the main one here. I've done no dynamics on that, but I have done a small change in the EQ. So let's listen to it. Friend, girl. Without. I had a friend, girl. Friend. So basically what I've done there is kind of tame it a little bit and change the harshness, these kind of frequencies, and brought them down a little bit. Because I found when I was combining the OPZ set with the Octatrack set, they were kind of going in different directions. So I wanted them to kind of meet a little bit in the middle. So this sounds like this, where this sounds still very different. It sounds like this. It still sound pretty different, but I think I came to a middle ground where transporting from this different in a good way into this felt totally fine. So I'm pretty happy with that. And the same thing with the Octatrack. As you can see here, I made some bigger changes here on the EQ for the Octatrack. So this is with the EQ. This is without. So what I've done on the Octatrack is to bring also those harsh frequencies in over here, brought them down a bit, and then I've nudged the bass up like 3. I think this is decibels, right? And nudged it up 3 decibels to get a much warmer kick drum experience. Because without that, it sounded a little bit flat. So I think I added some depth to it this way. So yeah, that's the mixer. So rule of thumb, put your vocals 3 decibels down in the mix that is going out to the recorded mix, and or to the room or whatever, and 3 decibels up for the ones that I listen to in my headphones. Yeah, and because I didn't do that on the gig that I recorded, afterwards I was like, oh, I don't have the energy to perform this again. So I tried to kind of save it with some clever use of mid-section EQ, dynamic EQ for, it didn't really work out, but I truly didn't have the energy to do it one more take. So Let's get down, shall we? I'm going to bring this camera and get down. Let's see. All right, so this is it. It's just a plank on a keyboard stand. And as you can see, lots of cables on the back. Yeah. So over here, we got the excellent golden reverb from UA. And this, what's it called again? Starlight? The echo over there sounds very, very nice. And I wanted to use a pedal like this. Let's see. I had it for a good while. It's called the Boss FV30L. It's a stereo pedal where you can just passively raise the volume like so. The more I do this, the more I send to the reverb. And the more I do this, the less I send to the reverb. Very nice. It's a really messy solution, but I used what I have, which is my motto sometimes: use what you have. And I'm going to show you the stuff that I used for the microphone. So this is the preamp. It's an Auteur preamp. Sounds pretty good. It's not like epic or anything, but it's what I have, and it works really well to bump the volume. And I've put this in here, which is a Soyuz launcher, because I thought that this microphone is a little bit on the clean and technical side, and with a launcher between the preamp and the microphone, I thought that maybe I could kind of fuzz it up a little bit and give it some texture, and I think it gives it a little texture that sounds pretty cool. So what I've done on the back is to send the audio from the microphone over there to that device over there. Let's see what it is. This is definitely not the cleanest way to do it, but I did all of this because I wanted to send one clean signal to the mix of the microphone and then one separate signal through the pedal so I could feed the effects. And I realized now that I could probably have made a sub mix on the audio interface instead of doing it this way, because I had some outputs that are still not being used. But yeah, didn't think of it then. So this is how I did it. This is a small mixer. It's not fantastic, but it's okay. It's called the Rolls Minimix Pro. It's a little bit noisy, but if you have loud enough volume going in, it's okay. And so I sent the microphone in green in there, in channel number 2. And then sending that out into in the stereo output here, one there and one there. And one of them is going straight to the interface up there, and the other one is going into the pedal. And now I press the pedal. Hello, hello, can you hear me? This is beautiful, so beautiful, so beautiful. So, and then that one is going out in this pretty cable into the golden reverberator. So that's a reverb. And I set the reverb to have a kind of medium long tail, and then setting the audio almost all wet, but still having some of the original sound, because I'm sending that onto the Starlight Echo Station, which is a really good delay. Hello. 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 So at this point, I realized that, oh shoot, I don't have enough inputs on the interface. So I need to get those reverb somehow into the mix again. So that led me to using the Digitone and the inputs on the back there to mix it in. And nowadays, you can select whether you want the master effects and how it's behaving to be a global setting or a per pattern setting. So now I set it to be a global setting, so the inputs of these are the same throughout the whole machine. Yeah. There's one thing I forgot to tell you about. It's the lighting and the decoration on the floor. The lighting, I wanted to keep all of this in this table lit, whereas everything else dimly lit. So this light here is kind of to give me a nice from the window kind of sky light source, and this is fairly soft, which is nice, and also got some actual lights from the windows, which is nice too. It helps. This one is a little bit sharper. It's going straight to here, and it's also kind of casting some of the light down there to the cuckoo thing on the floor, which is, yeah, this is kind of casting a shadow there. It looks kind of nice, if I'd say so myself. And that one over there, that is kind of casting some more light in my face. If I turn it off, let's do that. If I turn that one off, like so, you can see in my face, and everywhere else, it gets a little bit more high contrast, and my face is a little bit more mysterious, maybe a little bit sharper lit. It doesn't look bad, but once I turn this one on, everything gets a little bit cozier. So, and I'm tilting that one slightly up in order to avoid too much light on the floor. So, what do you think? Did I succeed or not? Yeah, I hope it's nice. I think it's looking quite nice, actually. So let me perform something. Yeah, what should I do? Maybe I play a song that was not performed in the live set. Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, I think I know what to perform. Let's perform number 7, Watching You Move. And also, I forgot to mention that some of the songs, they have heavily edited vocals in them, especially on the OPZ set. And it's the way I program the songs, so they're supposed to be like that. So, and that creates a whole dilemma of how would I actually perform those live? Should I sing myself? There's no way I can sing that perfect and highly edited. So what I did was a little bit odd, maybe. I've seen some rappers nowadays, they kind of do it like that they overdub themselves, and it's not optimal, but I ended up doing that, and I felt like, yeah, you can easily hear that it's not like I'm trying to sing with a singback, so to mimic that I cannot sing or something like that. It's just that the song sounds so special with the vocals on the tracks that it's kind of difficult to do it. But let's try to do that. I'm going to show you what I mean. Like, for instance, this here. Watching you move. Without the vocals, it would sound like this. And that would be up to me to sing as perfect as on the recording. Watching you move would making me cuckoo. Watching you move is making me cuckoo. Watching you move. It sounds very different, a whole different microphone, different setup. And so what I ended up doing in the live set was to actually overdub myself, and at some point remove the vocals and maybe harmonize a little bit. And I thought it felt like a good middle ground and a okay enough solution, because the samples are so heavily edited. If it would have been like a totally straight up pop song with a long phrase vocal, that would have sounded weird, I think. And then in that case, it would be much more natural to sing the whole piece. Okay, let me play this song for you. Watching you move is making me cuckoo. 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 to me, back. You got me, got me. Oh, please come back to me, back. You got me, got me. Oh, please come back to me, back. You got me, got me. Please come back to me, back. You got me, got me. Come back, please do back to back. You got me, got me. Right here. You got me. Right here. Please here. You got me. You got me. Right here. Please. You got me. Cool. Right here. Please. You got me. Cool. Watching you move is making me 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 cuckoo. Yeah, I hadn't rehearsed that, but something like that. Yeah, so this all works really nice, but I have my eye on the new version of the Fireface UCX. It's the Fireface UCX 2. And it has one feature that is changing the game a little bit, especially for someone like me that likes to keep the computer as much as possible out of the picture, and that is USB memory recording. So I can plop in a USB pen and record straight onto that. And it's recording all of the tracks, and it's easy to just take all of those tracks into a DAW afterwards. So that would be like a very safe and fast and quick way to record your live gig. And also, if you've messed up with some volumes and stuff, you have all of the multi-track recording afterwards. Actually, I tried to record it on my computer, but for some reason, something happened. And I think it was the computer kind of searching for a USB audio destination or something in the middle of the recording and said, "Hey, do you want to use this for as your audio interface?" Of course, I didn't, but I was in the middle of a set. So yeah, stuff like that can happen on a computer. But if I do it on the hardware, I feel much more safe. Yeah. So there you go. This is my setup for this particular gig, and I like it now that I could just bring all of this, just put it to the side, and that could be my setup that I use for a couple of gigs maybe. Put it here, and yeah. If you enjoy stuff that I'm doing here on YouTube, please consider throwing some donation on a monthly basis over at Patreon. Thank you so much, everyone, doing that. I appreciate that so much. And also, if you donate, you get access to a lot of my packs and stuff. But you can also go to my web store and get access to all of my packs over there if you just want to use purchase one specific pack. Yes. I hope you have a wonderful day, and always stay curious, and we'll see you again soon. Peace out.